Hey everyone, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the 2026 Ohio Senate race. Former Senator Sherrod Brown launched his campaign just a couple of days ago for the Senate seat in Ohio. Reminder, this is J.D. Vance's former seat before he became vice president. And this seat will be a special election, and then 2 years from 2026 and 2028, there will be an election again to name the replacement for the full 6-year term. So, reminder, if Sherrod Brown was to win this seat, he'll be facing an election again in just 2 years. So, I just want to make that known before we even start talking about this race at all. So, to start with, I want to point out an article from The Hill just yesterday afternoon, that says that Sherrod Brown raised $3.6 million in 24 hours since launching his Senate campaign. And I wanted to make this noteworthy because if we look back at just not even a year ago at this point, Sherrod Brown lost the state of Ohio by nearly 4 percentage points. Bernie Moreno was able to carry Ohio, of course, with the help of Donald Trump at the top of the ticket, which ultimately did help. We've seen that not only in Ohio, but in states like Pennsylvania, in states like Montana, and others. We've seen the Republican Party really overperform what was expected and win over seats. So this is worth noting as well, because as we go in to the 2026 elections, we're going to be looking deeper at who can win control of the United States Senate. And in a lot of ways, that's going to be the Republican Party. And I say that mainly because even if the Democrats flip Ohio, if they flip North Carolina, if they flip Maine, which, reminder, in Maine there's no top profile Democrat who's, even announced a candidacy at this point to run for that Senate seat against Susan Collins. But let's just assume that the Democrats are able to flip all 3 seats. The Republican Party still has control of the Senate with Vice President Vance. They need a 4th Senate seat. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. That's super unlikely. So as we look at this, not only is it necessarily probably unlikely for the Democratic Party to win all of these seats, to win Ohio, to win Maine, to win North Carolina. I think out of the options that they have, North Carolina is the most likely with Roy Cooper. But of course, this is a good sign for the Democratic Party going into 2026 with Sherrod Brown announcing his candidacy. And I make this a note too because Sherrod Brown was tapped by Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer to run for this seat again. There were rumors that maybe Sherrod Brown would seek the governor's mansion in Ohio. Maybe he would go out of the political spotlight. We didn't know what he would end up doing, but it was clear that the Democrats wanted him to run for this seat again. They didn't want him to run for governor. They didn't want him to go off into the sunset. They said, let's give this one more try. And sure enough, Sherrod Brown has announced his candidacy. He will run. And like I pointed out just a few minutes ago, Sherrod Brown has already raised $3.6 million in 24 hours since launching his Senate campaign. And I make this note too because Ohio is slowly becoming a more Republican state. I don't think anybody disputes that. It's quite obvious that is happening. As we look back, just give me one moment. As we look back in Ohio for the 2022 Senate campaign, which, reminder, J.D. Vance won, he won this race by even larger numbers, than Bernie Moreno did. J.D. Vance was able to win this against Tim Ryan, who, reminder, pretty popular former congressman from the state. But Sherrod Brown ultimately just this top Democratic figure in Ohio politics and is able to really make the race a lot closer. And it's something that Republicans are going to have to put more money into the race because of it as well. They're going to have to put more money into this 2026 Senate campaign because the Democrats are running somebody like Sherrod Brown. Just like in 2022, the Democrats had to put, or the Republicans had to put more money in Ohio with Tim Ryan. And ultimately, the Republicans still ended up overperforming this race by large numbers. J.D. Vance was able to win. And reminder, 2022 was not your traditional midterm cycle. It wasn't a cycle where, somebody like J.D. Vance just overperforms because the Republican Party did. Sure, they won control of the House, barely, but they couldn't even win control of the Senate. In fact, they actually lost a seat in the Senate. The Republican Party did. So, most certainly worth noting on that end, of course, just a few months prior to the 2022 midterm elections, the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, which ultimately sparked very high controversy across the nation and gave Democrats a real talking point for their campaigns. So, as we look at this from the perspective of 2024 going into 2026, I make this note too because, sure, Bernie Moreno was able to win this by 4 percentage points against Sherrod Brown just a year ago. But we should make note, Donald Trump was at the top of the ticket, he overperformed expectations, and Senate seats across the board overperformed. So what's this margin going to look like come a year from now in 2026 when Sherrod Brown, has the Democratic leaning culture? It's likely anyway, I should say, that the Democrats are going to end up being more approved of. The Democrats are going to have a better shot at winning some of these races than they did just a year ago. So what's that margin going to look like against someone in 2026 with Sherrod Brown at the top of the ticket? It's worth noting, just want to point it out as we go forward. Like I said, even if Sherrod Brown wins this seat in 2026, he still has an uphill battle because 2 years from then, he'll have to run again. And he'll have to run for his full 6-year term. So it'll be interesting to see how this race shapes out and what happens going forward. Sherrod Brown has officially announced his candidacy for the Ohio Senate campaign, and it's going to be a real interesting one. He's going to face off appointed Senator Jon Husted, who was appointed after J.D. Vance became vice president. So, like I said again, worth noting, very interesting campaign, and it's going to be one to watch. It's going to be one on the radar come 2026. And just a year from now, we're really going to be paying attention to this race. We're really going to start to see how polls shape out in a year from now on this race. What does it look like for the Democratic Party? Like I said before, North Carolina seems like the Democrats' best chance at flipping a Senate seat. But if this environment is really going to shift towards the Democratic Party, which in a lot of ways I would say it is, but I'm going to wait to make that assumption until after the Virginia gubernatorial election, after the New Jersey gubernatorial election, after some of these 2025 elections, I'll wait to make that assumption until after those, but even then it's hard to make an assumption like that. But traditionally speaking, Democrats, if the Republican Party is in the White House, Democrats are going to be better off during that midterm, vice versa. Democrats are in the White House, Republicans are going to be better off in those midterm elections. So, worth noting, Donald Trump already facing some tough scrutiny from Democrats, and certainly going to be campaign issues, and certainly is clear that the Democrats want these top-profile people, such as Chuck Schumer, wants top-profile people like Sherrod Brown, wants people like Roy Cooper, running for these seats to hopefully even have the chance at flipping back Senate control. If they can't, they want to get it as close as they can so they can 2 years from then. Again, thank you so much for watching today's video. I'm interested to see how this race plays out. We'll talk more about it as we get closer to the election. And I appreciate you all watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Does Sherrod Brown pull off an upset and win in Ohio? Thanks so much again for watching. I hope to see you in the next one.